How many of you take online classes? I know all of you do because we are in a class right now. According to Purdue University Global, they state in 2018 about 3.3 million students attend college exclusively online. End quote. During this pandemic, we were all forced to switch to these online classes, which many of us don't like. I personally like to learn in person because I am more of a hands-on learner and I'm more motivated and I feel like I'm forced to pay attention, which leads me to being somewhat successful in class. First, I will talk about the problems with online learning, what causes these problems, and what you can do to fix these problems with online education. As of now, there are many problems with online education. Two of the major issues include not having enough motivation to be successful, and the other is having technological issues. Starting with motivation. There is a lack of motivation when we learn online. According to Sander Tam, the author of the article Disadvantages of E-Learning, he states, quote, due to the lack of face-to-face communication between peers, students, and teachers, in an online setting, students might find that they are unable to work in a team environment less effectively. End quote. Because of the lack of motivation, there is less interaction between students and teachers, which is very crucial when we are learning. When there is interaction, there is time to reflect and share what students have learned. Another point is when there is a lack of motivation within oneself, there's a chance of having stress and most likely depression. According to Walker from the Importance of Social Interaction article, he states, quote, while not interacting regularly can result in a lonely, isolated existence, it can also lead to something as deadly as depression, end quote. The other problem that students are facing is with technology. Students may face technical difficulties during class. According to the University of Illinois, they state, quote, lack of access, whether it be from economic or logistic reasons, will exclude otherwise eligible students from the course, end quote. Depending on your situation, it can lead you to not being involved in this course. Wi-Fi is one of the problems that many students face. We experience lag, and sometimes a computer just freezes because of the Wi-Fi. On top of Wi-Fi problems, not many students are able to afford a laptop for school. What causes these problems, you might ask? Lots of factors determine these problems. Penelope King, the author of Why Distance Learning Can Compare to In-Person Education, says, quote, both procrastination and lack of motivation can make it extremely difficult for students to properly absorb the necessary information for their classes. This, paired with a credit/no credit grading system and a lack of standardized tests, many students find it hard to be motivated to keep up their studying. One of the main reasons why there is a lack of motivation is because there are many distractions, and also students have horrible time management. Distractions include anything from electronics to food. Because we are in the comfort of our own home, there are many things we would rather do than be in class. Besides distractions, technical issues is another problem, and it can happen to anyone. The author of 10 Challenges of E-Learning During COVID-19, Lisa Planechko, says, quote, millions of people around the world are experiencing technical difficulties because of the high usage rate of online learning systems, end quote. Depending on where you live, the Wi-Fi might not be the best, and it can act up from time to time, especially when it's windy and raining with bad weather conditions. Also, many students don't have the funds to purchase a laptop or a device they can have online learning in. Because of this, or they might not purchase one because they might not have a job or their parents aren't fortunate enough to purchase one for their kid. But wherever there's a problem, there's a solution. Distractions are everywhere, and there's something you can do to help fight those distractions. Christine Greenhow, a professor in the College of Education, says, The best online learning combines where students go at their own pace at their own time. End quote. When we learn at our own pace, we can be more successful if we plan ahead and manage our time. One solution to having motivation is to interact with the class. Talk about the topic that is being talked about in the conversation. Another solution would be to constantly ask questions, even answer some questions that you might know the answer to. With the Wi-Fi, there are two things you can do. Upgrade your Wi-Fi plan if you can afford it, or you can also go to your local coffee shop or somewhere you know there is a good strong connection to experience no Wi-Fi errors. If you don't have the funds for a laptop, you can always borrow one from your school. During COVID-19, they're giving them out to people who need them because of the pandemic. We have gone over how online learning has many problems, what causes these problems, and how we can find a solution to fixing these problems. Suzanne Loeb, a professor from Brown University, states, quote, "So we may be skeptical of online learning, but it is also a time to embrace it and improve on it." End quote. Online learning might be the future, and many are struggling to adapt to learning these new learning strategies. We have to find solutions to the problems students are facing in order to successfully move forward with online learning.